When Ryan Jessen slipped into a coma, his family knew the end was near. The machines were still keeping him alive, but the man they loved, his smile, his voice, his warmth, was fading. Yet there was one goodbye still waiting to be said. A goodbye that would come from 4 tiny paws, a pair of soulful eyes, and a bond that went deeper than words ever could. This is the story of Ryan and Molly, and what happened when they saw each other for the last time will stay with you forever. Ryan wasn't the type to chase fame or fortune. He lived a quiet, fulfilling life in a small California town, working as a landscaper, the kind of guy who took pride in turning overgrown lawns into green works of art. His joy came from simplicity, fresh air, the scent of pine, dirt under his nails, and the peace of creating beauty with his own 2 hands. It was during one of his walks home, years before the tragedy, that he took a shortcut through a cemetery. It was quicker, quiet, and oddly peaceful. But that day something stopped him in his tracks. A small, shaking puppy, curled up near a headstone. The little boxer looked like she hadn't eaten in days, dirty, covered in fleas, no collar, no signs of an owner. Without a second thought, Ryan slipped off his belt, fashioned a leash, and brought her home. He named her Molly. He didn't just give her food and shelter, he gave her love, a real home. While he searched for her owners, no one ever came forward, and after a few weeks he stopped looking. Molly had already claimed a place in his heart. Over the next 6 years, Ryan and Molly became inseparable. She went everywhere with him, sometimes even tagging along on job sites, wagging her tail as Ryan raked, planted, and trimmed. If Ryan was outside, Molly was never far behind. But their favorite moments were in the forest trails just outside of town. Every weekend, rain or shine, they'd pack a small picnic and disappear into the trees. Molly would dash ahead, chasing squirrels and birds, while Ryan took in the silence, the kind you can only find in nature. They had a routine, a log they'd sit on, a spot by the creek where Molly would splash in the water, a quiet understanding between man and dog that didn't need words. Molly wasn't just a pet, she was family. She was his shadow, his therapist, his joy. Then, one morning, everything changed. Ryan woke up with the worst headache of his life. At first, he brushed it off. Maybe too much sun, maybe dehydration. But as the hours passed, the pain intensified. He became disoriented, unsteady, he collapsed. At the hospital, doctors ran urgent tests. The diagnosis was grim, a ventricular brain hemorrhage, a rare and severe form of bleeding in the brain. In many cases, it strikes without warning. Ryan's love of energy drinks and high blood pressure may have been the fatal cocktail. Despite emergency treatment, Ryan slipped into a coma. Machines took over his breathing, monitors tracked his silent heartbeat. And day by day, hope began to fade. The doctors were honest, his chances were low, and even if he woke up, he might never be the same. His family, his mother, father, and sister, were faced with a devastating choice: keep him on life support indefinitely, or let him go with dignity. As they prepared to say goodbye, someone brought up Molly. She hadn't seen Ryan in days. She'd been restless, anxious, sniffing at the door, waiting. The hospital, bless them, made an exception. Though animals weren't typically allowed, the staff understood that Molly wasn't just a dog. She was part of Ryan's story. So, they brought her in. She padded down the sterile hospital hallways, tail low, ears flat. It was like she sensed the weight of what was coming. Ryan's family stood by as the door opened to his room. Usually, Molly would burst into a room like a ball of energy, jumping on Ryan, licking his face, whining with joy. But not this time. She walked slowly to the bed, sniffed the tubes and wires, then paused, her eyes locked on Ryan's still face. She didn't bark, she didn't cry. She just stood there, quietly, tail tucked, as if unsure what to do. Ryan's mother gently lifted her and placed her beside him on the bed. That's when the moment broke. Molly curled up next to him and rested her head near his chest. She gave his cheek the softest lick, then she let out a low, shaky whimper. Not frantic, not confused, just heartbroken. Ryan's sister placed his limp hand on Molly's back. She leaned into it, as if still trying to feel his warmth, and everyone in that room cried. It wasn't just the grief, it was the understanding. Somehow, Molly knew. She knew this was goodbye. After Ryan's passing, the family kept their promise. Molly stayed with them, safe, loved, and cared for. But even as life moved forward, Molly never forgot. She still waited by the door sometimes. She'd still perk up at the sound of trucks pulling into the driveway. She'd sniff Ryan's work boots like he might still walk through the door. She grieved in her own quiet way. Because love like that doesn't just vanish, it leaves paw prints on the soul. They say dogs live shorter lives because they already know how to love unconditionally. And Molly, she loved Ryan with every beat of her little heart, from the day he rescued her to the moment she watched him slip away. So now we ask you, have you ever witnessed an animal grieve? What do you think was going through Molly's mind as she curled up next to her best friend for the last time? Let us know in the comments. And if this story touched you, share it. Because sometimes the most powerful love stories don't need words at all.